The key law affecting any documents a former president tries to take with him, classified or not, is the Presidential Records Act, passed in 1978 in response to Richard Nixon's attempt to take his presidential tapes and his papers with him to California. Ironically, 48 years ago, on this very day, August 9th, 1974, then President Nixon, under the threat of being removed by impeachment, became the first president to resign while in office. Flashing two peace signs before boarding a helicopter, Nixon had announced his resignation the night before. Of course, that was Marine One.
I have never been a quitter. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But as president, I must put the interests of America first. Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president at that hour in this office.
Still amazing to watch that. Joining us now, NBC's presidential historian Michael Beschloss and Susan Page, the Washington bureau chief for USA Today. So, Michael, let's start with the historic moment. When you heard this last night, what were you thinking? How did you react? Seeing it in the light of day with everything that's transpired, what are you saying?
Well, two things. You hear a lot of people saying we have never seen before in history the household of a president of the United States being searched by the FBI, and that is true. But we must never say that without also including the last half of the sentence, which is we've never seen a president behave like Donald Trump with his contempt and indifference to the law. And one thing we're going to see as time goes on, presumably in the next few days, is exactly what brought this on. All I can tell you, Andrea, is that there is no way that Merrick Garland would have approved this unless there was an overwhelming legal reason to send in the FBI, because he knows that it is possible that the Republicans could take over at least the House this fall and be so rough on the administration that they might even try to vote to turn the lights out to the Department of Justice. And if you heard Kevin McCarthy today threatening the Attorney General, which is something, once again, we have never, ever heard before in history, something as ugly as that, that gives you the impression that Merrick Garland would have done this very carefully.
And Susan Page, let's talk about the national security implications. National security documents, but any presidential records, are supposed to be left behind. And in history, there have been a couple of instances, rare instances, where classified information is mishandled. Of course, Hillary Clinton was accused of that and then eventually exonerated only 2 days before the election by the FBI director.
Yeah, nothing that compares with this, though. We've never seen the former president be forced to give back 15 boxes of documents already to the National Archives. And we assume that, Merrick Garland has been such a cautious, judicious attorney general, to the frustration of Democrats who wanted him to be more active against Donald Trump, that we assume there is something very compelling here that goes to the national security interests of the United States. But I think it's important that we find out what it was. We really need more information about the reasoning behind the warrant and the results of executing it, because this was really such a jaw-dropping development last night.
And if there were top secret documents, as the Washington Post first reported last February, Michael, the serious implications, depending, in fact, on what they were and the motivation behind taking them, could just spin out. I mean, we don't know. And, critics of the president were so dismayed and had, dashed expectations on the Mueller probe. And this may not lead to anything at all, but it certainly is, does not augur well for his house to have been searched in this unprecedented way.
No, that's for sure. And it must have been pretty bad, because otherwise Garland and Justice would not have risked this. And, what were these documents that we're talking about? We have no idea. Let me give you a few examples of what they could be. The president has access to documents that tell about the disposition of our nuclear weapons and our nuclear codes. What if one of those documents had that kind of information and an ex-president wanted to share that with a hostile intelligence service? Or let's say the president got a memo on ways that the FBI and Department of Justice were going after organized crime. And let's say that a president, again, we have no evidence that this is so, but shows you how dangerous this can be, gives it to people who want to find out how the government may be going after them, or a list of CIA agents that you may give to another power that wants to know what American CIA agents are on its territory. There are cases in history where these things are sold, where these documents are given to get some kind of other commercial advantage. I'm not suggesting that we have any evidence that any of this happened, but this is why there is a Presidential Records Act, because this is not just like, an overdue book getting a library fine. Losing some of these documents or deliberately giving them to someone else who should not have them, or having it outside the government system, as Donald Trump obviously has done at Mar-a-Lago, we and our families can get really hurt.
Well, we should just point out that he had such casual behavior towards truly classified information when he invited the Russian ambassador and the foreign minister into the Oval Office, and also when he was discussing the North Korean rocket attacks down at Mar-a-Lago on the patio with all of his dinner guests and having a National Security Council meeting on how to respond. So his casual behavior towards classification is well known and quite obvious.
Correct.
And Vladimir Putin. Thank you, Susan. We're out of time. And Michael, but this is going to continue for the
upward
days,
and onward.
weeks, and months to come. Thank you both.